Hey there, welcome to Contracts and Chaos. My name's Alyssa.
And I'm Brenna, and we're here to tell you that you are not alone in the mayhem of this real estate industry.
We're keeping it real and sharing our stories, strategies, and successes in today's real estate world.
So come join us every Tuesday while we talk contracts and chaos.
Okay, so this week we are talking about the 12-week year, and we have mentioned it on previous episodes about how this is how Brenna and I structure our year and our goals to make sure we achieve what we want to in a year. So this week we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of what our goals are overall for the year, for the next 12 weeks, and what the tactics are we are going to use to achieve those goals. Brenna, do you want to give a quick synopsis of what the 12-week year is and how it works for those certain people who may not have listened to that podcast or read the book?
Sure. So if you haven't listened to the podcast, you should certainly go back and do that. We dove into it a little bit more seriously than we will today because we're just going to kind of go over what we're working on and the tactics that we're implementing for the next 12 weeks. But the idea is, scientifically wise, if you look at the last quarter of the year for any big business or small business for that matter, their numbers are 90% of the time astronomically higher than they are over the course of the year. And why that is because there's suddenly a sense of urgency to hit those numbers, those goals that they set at the beginning of the year. So if they're talking about 100 million in volume, whatever the case may be, come November when you're 30,000 shy because you kind of slacked off on June and July, you suddenly light a fire under your butt and we do the work that we should have been doing throughout the year. So the idea is to take that sense of urgency and keep it throughout the year. And we do that by breaking it up into 4 chunks, essentially 4 quarters, and we set goals that support our year-end goal into smaller chunks, bite-sized pieces that keep us moving on that trajectory in a consistent speed over the course of a year. So essentially, you still have those big end-of-year goals, but you're dialed into more specific pieces of it throughout the year. So that's what we are diving into. And I think the most important thing on this is not to spread yourself so thin. So for me, I try to keep it 3 or 4 main goals that I'm focused on for each quarter, because if I've got 8, 9, 10 things that I'm working on throughout the year, none of them are actually going to get my full attention and focus. So I think having that set up is good.
I also think, what was I just gonna say? I also think I keep mine in 3 categories, kind of like we spoke about in a previous episode, one of Sharon's trainings, his business plan for the year. Health, relationships, business. I've broken mine down into 3 categories. And in one of the episodes, we spoke about keeping them smarter. So they're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. Then we evaluate and we reward. I think that helps you figure out what they should be too as you're working through these. And this episode is going to come out January 23rd. So, guys, we are 23 days into this year. If you don't know what your goals are for 2024, that's okay. That's fine. But today's the day you need to sit down and figure it out. If you need to step away from work for a couple hours, step away from the family, get a babysitter, go buy yourself a glass of wine, go to a quiet coffee shop. If money's tight, go to the library and find a quiet corner. They're free. I did this a couple nights ago, the night before New Year's Eve. I had spent the whole day working in my business and knew, like, I want to get these done. I don't like not knowing until 2 days from now is the new year. I took myself to dinner and I sat at the bar with a notepad, and I was probably the least friendly person at that bar that night, which is not me. But I went to like a nice restaurant, ordered some appetizers, had a cocktail, and I literally sat here with this notebook. And that's why if you're watching this on YouTube, you see me looking down because I'm looking at my notes, and just worked through it. But the first thing I did was write out the 3 categories: the health, the business, the relationships. And I made sure that these are all, and should be, like, I'm still working through them a little bit, And mind you, we're recording this January 2nd. So January 2nd, I'm good with still working through them a little bit. Um, but just tightening them down. But make sure, like, put them in those categories. That will help. Make sure you're making them smart so you can measure where you're at and that you're actually achieving. Don't just put, I want to lose weight. Okay, how much weight? Or don't put, I want to sell more houses. Okay, let's quantify that. If you sold 12 this year, what is more next year? Is that only 13? And if that's your number, that's fine. But if it's 26, write down 26 because you need to be specific and measurable. All right, on that note, Brenda, you ready to jump into them?
Yeah, do you want to go back and forth? Do you want to do one first?
Do you have yours broken in categories like I do?
I'm not into categories specifically,
Okay.
no.
Okay, it's fine if you don't. I was just thinking if you did, we would go that way. Yes, we can go back and forth. I'll go first if you want. I don't mind.
Okay.
Cat hair all over my desk. Okay, so my first in the health category, I would like to lose 40 pounds this year. Um, I put on the COVID 40, let's be honest, and have had some health issues that have caused it and health issues caused by it. So that is one of my goals is to get, and this is annual. So then to break that down into the next 12 weeks, that would be 10 pounds. That's 3.3 pounds per month. So it'd be approximately 10 pounds in the next 12 weeks. To do that, my tactics are following a Whole30 diet, walking 3 miles a day. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you'll notice my background is different. I finally got the standing desk, put a walking pad under it. So 3 miles a day minimum on that walking pad. No fast food. If I am out and running around and I get stuck, there's no drive-through this year, or at least not for the next 12 weeks. Not happening. I'm also putting in here because, let's be honest, I have an addiction. There will be no gummy worms, gummy bears, gummy whatevers
Oh God, that's so hurtful to my soul.
for the next 12 weeks.
Wow.
I just sat down. I realized I was like, I am eating these far more often than I think I am. Like this is a problem right now. So
I went through a moment. I think it was 2020. It was 2020. Oh my gosh, I was allowed to do that. 2020 was a nightmare.
right,
But
2020, you could do whatever you want. I didn't care. There was way too much happening in the world to care about anything
there
else.
was a moment when I realized that this was the fourth, like, the M&M bags that you can get at Sam's Club, like the 5-pound bags of M&Ms. It was
Uh
like
huh.
the fourth bag that my husband had, gosh, lovingly, supportingly brought home for me. And I like opened it up and ate it like popcorn while we were watching TV. And I was like, this is really unhealthy.
Yep.
You
Yep.
shouldn't do this.
And I swear, like if it's not in my house, I don't normally want it. But gummy worms scream to me from the gas station as I
Oh,
drive by.
that's terrible.
But in the next 12 weeks, we're shooting for 10 pounds. And those are my tactics to do it. So, Brenna, what is your first goal of the next 12 weeks?
Well, I have most of my goals that way. I like write out for mostly business, like big things that I want done, but I have a walking pad too, and I used it religiously when I got it last year. And if you could see it, it's actually underneath my filing cabinet right now. She hasn't been used in a minute. So it's funny because I actually, when we were walking, we took the kids to Universal for Christmas and we walked so much and I was exhausted, but I felt so good. I
Right?
honestly did. I felt so good. I slept so good. It was like, I really need to start walking again because when I had it, I was walking 2 to 3 miles a day just working because other than that, I just sit here in this chair and do that. So that's actually that's actually one of mine too is 2 to 3 miles a day on the walking pad. And I mean a day. So I try to do 4 to 5 days. It won't be 7 days a week,
Right.
but at
Yeah,
least
it's
4
the
days.
days I'm working.
Yep.
Yeah. Or at least working in the office. And then those other days, I walk Mabel. So
Hmm.
that is helpful. I'm
Both of my
actually,
dogs are entirely too lazy to be convinced to walk to the end of the driveway to check the mail, much less 3 miles.
I'm actually going, oh, that's what I was saying. I'm actually going to go to like a Fleet Feet or a running store and get fitted for some walking sneakers too because
Okay.
I've realized, well, I own a ridiculous amount of sneakers. Let's just get this out there. Alyssa owns 13 pair of sneakers specific to one sport. Um,
Oh.
but it's not a walking sport, so they're all flat.
Mm-hmm.
And so I need to go get some good walking shoes because I tried it the other day and I was like, this is great, but my feet hurt because I
Mm-hmm.
don't have the right shoes. So I got some cash for Christmas and I'm going to use it on that, a little treat to myself to
That's
achieve
great.
those goals.
Well, I will start with well, okay, so how many do you have? Did you do like 3 in each category? Is that
That's
how
what I'm
you do
looking at.
yours?
The next category is only one.
Is that
And then,
relationships?
yeah, and
Okay.
then business, I have two.
Okay. So we'll do the relationship one for me. And we used to do this all of the time, and we kind of have gotten away from it. And I want to say it's been in like the last year. And actually, Violet brought it up to me the other day, and I was like, "Oh my God, you're so right." We used to take the girls on a individual date every month.
I like
I
that.
would take Maddie, he would take my, you know what I mean, and we'd swap every month. And it could be whatever. We've done mini golf, the movies. It always involves dinner. You know what I mean? But that was everybody really enjoyed that. So I want to get back to doing that again, and also with Travis because when the kids were little, they used to both go to their grandparents' house every Friday night, and we would go out or do something together on Fridays. Which I mean, we see each other all the time. We work together a lot, but like there's a difference between getting work done and like drinking a beer and hanging out. You
Right.
know what I mean? So
Right.
I would like
Not
to,
talking about work.
yeah, exactly. I would like to get back to doing that because right now, as they get older, their grandparents actually wanted to spend more time individually with them too. So one of them goes on a Friday and the next one goes on a Saturday. So we don't have the kids this night. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I had to be a little bit more intentional with that. But it ended up happening last night. They had a sleepover with their older cousin who's home from college this week. And I was like, bro, we don't have any kids. And he's like, oh my God, you want to go get dinner and we'll rent a movie? And I was like, yes, that's amazing. Because one of my love languages, my biggest love language is quality time. So like we don't have to spend any money. We don't have to do anything.
Right.
Just hang out with me. That's what I love.
Right.
So I think that that is going to be a huge thing going into this year because, say, staying connected with the kids and what's going on in their fourth grade and second grade drama and all of that stuff is just, I think that it's important to like take a step back and really specifically be with people that you want to be with.
I think it's important. I think, obviously, I'm not married and I don't have children, but one of the big breakdowns I've noticed in friends who are divorced or struggling in their relationships is that the focus becomes all about the kids and you forget to put the focus on your relationship. And so I think that's important. I think that's it. Not saying you guys are having trouble or getting divorced, but I think it's important that you guys are acknowledging, hey, we need to put some focus on us too. I think
Yeah, because
that's
there
very,
was a
very good.
time that we didn't choose the dinner place because the kids wanted pizza. You know what I mean?
And
I'll be
everything.
interested to see what is recorded because it's going to be hilarious.
Right. Right. Yeah. So, guys, if you're listening to this and it's a little wonky, just know we had a technical
Technical
difficulty and we're working
difficulties.
through it.
Yep, we are bouncing back. So, what is
Yes.
your relationship goal for 2024?
My relationship goal for 2024 overall is to be in a committed relationship by the end of
It's
the year.
exciting. I'm excited.
No, it's terrifying. It's
It is.
terrifying. I have not put any effort into focusing on dating for at least a year and a half. If someone showed up, I'd probably try it, but I wasn't trying to meet people or using dating apps or any of that. I had made the commitment to myself to focus on my
Yep.
business, and that came first. That came over everything except family, and it worked. I 5x'd my business this year. So, but I've decided that this is the year I need to find a little balance, and try to put some effort in. Went on a date the other night, worst date of my life.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, like talking to drying paint, terrible.
Oh no. Okay, well it's fine. It can
Yeah,
only
but
go
he
up.
thought it
It
was
can
great.
only go up from here then.
Yes, it can only go up. So, um, in the next 12 weeks to break this. So that's the overall annual goal. Obviously, that's not going to happen within the next 12 weeks, but the tactics to reach that overall goal for the next 12 weeks. I'm going to work with Bumble and Hinge.
Okay.
Couple like I put 30 minutes a day of maybe that's
Yep.
enough. Um, going to attempt to go on one date. What just happened?
What?
One date a week.
Okay.
Um, now that's so weird. Something's going on. So there's also a qualifier with that. Um, that date might be with myself if it needs to be. Like if I don't because I think I need to learn I love myself. I know I do. But I also need to learn how to date myself and what I like and expect on dates. Um, I'm also going to try to go out more with friends when invited. And networking events because you never know who knows who and who's going to show up.
Right.
That will also guaranteed roll into my business. And this one is for business and personal relationships. An agent I know in Florida started doing this and to help build her business, but also just to get to know people. I'm going to start a monthly event that I'm working with another agent on, called Dinner with Strangers.
Oh, I love that.
And yeah, it's going to be a group of hopefully 10 people every month, a different 10 people other than the two of us hosting it. So it'll be 8 different people for us to meet once a month. You're not allowed to talk about work and you're not allowed to talk about your children,
Ooh. Okay.
right? So we'll host it at different restaurants around the area, and I just think it's a great way to meet people. I was thinking, oh, I'll go out and try Meetup. I did that when I first moved to Charlotte, not my jam. But so those are my tactics. So in the next 12 weeks, there will be 3 dinners with strangers, 3 networking events per month, so 9 or yeah, per month. Socializing with friends, dating myself or going on a date once a week, and Bumble and Hinge daily to try to meet someone.
That's awesome.
Terrifying, not awesome.
It's awesome. It's going to be awesome. But that means that we are down to our last category, which is probably what everybody's hanging around waiting for us to talk about is business.
Business.
Business. So,
Yes.
this first quarter, I have a goal for 5 transactions. um, so here's the thing. I want to close 25 deals this year. But historically, my first quarter is never my strongest quarter. So to divide that up equally, it doesn't make sense because I know that it's not going to happen, right? So
Right.
I did 5 transactions for this quarter. And I do have a couple of under contracts currently. I have a few listings currently. Like if everything closed that I have on the table right now, I would hit that 5. But
Right.
I need something to feed into the next several months as well. So the tactics are still going to be the same. I love Fizbos, so I will be back to connecting with more for sale by owners in my area because that's my favorite. Over the course of 2023, I actually worked with less buyers than I ever have, and that wasn't by choice, but I do love the listing scene. It works out a lot better for my family and how business runs with my schedule and stuff. Um so I am listing focused, but I think that this year we're going to see a comeback of first time home buyers, which is my other I love a first time home buyer, and I know that you don't, but I do love a first
Nope.
time home buyer. So I'm hoping that with these interest rates coming down that we're going to see an influx of those people because I have them in my pipeline. Nobody was moving last year. It just you couldn't convince anybody
Nope.
to move, really, unless they needed to move for um serious reasons. Everybody just waited. So I think that I'll see a lot more of that this year. So this first 12 weeks is a lot of reaching out, following up, prospecting new for sale by owners, and I do that on Facebook and through Zillow, and get some more listings on the hook.
Nice. Very nice. Um, so my goal is 24 to 36 houses next year. If I do 24, that will be doubling what I did this year. If I do 36, that'll be 2.5,
Mhm.
which is where I would really love to be. That would be the life that I want if we stay at current price point average. That's the other thing. I not only increased the number of transactions I had this year, I greatly increased my um, average price point. So that's helpful. So when you're looking at these, don't necessarily just look at the numbers. So for me, that would be 24 to 36 closings or 8.3 to 10.5 million dollars in sales. Ooh, which just seems like crazy.
That's big numbers. Yeah, yeah. So,
But then there's other agents like who are posting that they're selling 27 million on their own. But I also know who they are. Like it's someone local I'm thinking of referencing. And she's very tight knit with some very high end
mhm.
celebrities. So I get it.
Yeah.
She's in a different market than even though we're in the same market,
And we
she's in a
talk about
different
this
market.
too. Success is different for everybody. So, like you said, though, last
Yes.
year I had a bigger transaction goal. And I didn't even come close to hitting that transaction goal, but I hit the volume because I upped my price point so much. Which
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to say I worked less, but I had other things going on in life that I was working on. So, it really like it doesn't have to be I have to get 25 transactions and get at least that it's a give and take because you might sell a $40,000 piece of land and then balance it with a $800,000 property, you know? It it's
Right.
so it's so hit or miss.
Well, and like one of the ways there's two ways I have built out when I'm working on my goals. One, I haven't done it yet this year, but I'm going to. I've done it previously. Write your obituary for what it would look like now, and then write it for what you want it to be. And then you need to figure out how to make that happen. What's that middle? How do you make that middle happen? And that will help you figure out what your goals should be. Also, my other way is I have a spreadsheet and it's printed on the wall. That's not it right behind me, but on the other wall. That okay, this is bare minimum in this column. This is what my bills look like. Bare minimum to survive. No luxury, no nothing, just to keep a roof over my head. This is what I want my life to look like. And here's what I think that would approximately
Mhm.
cost. And that helps me. Okay, this is what I need to survive. This is what I need to thrive. Where are we coming in here? Nothing less than surviving is an option on my plate because it's just me. Um, but so for my 24 to 36 closings or 8.3 to 10.5 million dollars this year, um, it's gonna I'm diving into my CRM. I've never truly done it. I put people in there. I used to send a newsletter, but I've never like been in it. So, some of this and for this first 12 weeks is figuring out what that looks like. What does daily use of my CRM look like? Which tactics am I using? Daily use of Dub. We have this amazing software that my team provides. It's kind of like there's another video platform out there that's much more well known, but I can embed videos into my emails and I can send them as texts, but then it tracks who watches it, when it's watched, how long it's watched. I'm going to be utilizing that. Actually, my team lead was like, "Hey, I'm going to cancel this because I don't think anyone's using it." And I was like, "Wait, wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on. That's in my goals for this year. I know I haven't been utilizing it as much, but this training we all watched the other day said we need to. I have it in for 2024. So can we not yet?" Um, so if we're being 12 weeks specific, I also want 4 agents in my first tier. Um, so I get for 6 to 9 closings, hopefully. And again, you're right. This 12 weeks may not be that heavy because the first quarter tends to be a little lighter. But I'm going to dive into my social media. So it's going to be posting properties more often than I have been. Hosting 2 open houses a month, which I hate doing, but I know it will push business. I already have one lined up for this weekend. Like I said, daily use of my CRM. So this quarter is organizing it, personalizing it, and figuring out which tactics I want to use for that. Downloads. We talked about this in our database. I'm doing it. We talk about it. I'm doing it. I'm going to try it. I met with an agent last week to talk about some ways to do that. I'm going to continue my farming in Belmont. I want excuse me, one of these listings to be in that neighborhood I farm. I know someone who's thinking of selling their house this week. I'm sending him a letter today.
Perfect.
Um, yeah, gonna continue obviously the networking and stuff. And one of them, you're gonna laugh when I say this. Anything Sharon says to do, I'm probably gonna do
Uh,
for the next 12 weeks.
I love that. I
Like
love
that
it.
is what it is. Like he's just everything he says works, so why not try it? And no television. There's a couple other things in here, just like birthday cards, birthday posts, stuff like that.
Hmm.
I want 4 agents in my tier one. I kind of brushed on that and then kept moving. So that's where this is also going to double down on my relationship building. So 3 networking events per month. That'll be 9 in the next 12 weeks. I want to host a monthly agent event.
That's cool.
I'm going to get one in here. So that's 3 in the next 12 weeks. It may only be 2 this first quarter while we figure out, okay, how does this work? What do we want to
Hmm.
do? And I'm okay with it only being 2 first quarter. I'll just throw in an extra one later in the
Yep.
year. Um, 2 to 3 posts per week about real and why I love it. If I want people need to see it. I want to attract people. I don't want to chase people. And obviously, our weekly
The
podcast.
podcast. I love the
The
podcast.
podcast.
Tuesday is
So,
very quickly become my favorite day, and I do love it. Yep, and that's so I only did one of my business goals. I am, like you said, I'm not really CRM focusing, I'm email list focusing this year because I don't have one. I've never had one. I have a database, right? I have a CRM, but I've never sent out emails or newsletters or anything like that. And for me, I know I told you guys about the Christmas decoration competition that I had locally. It was super cool. It was a lot of fun. We had almost 300 people actually go through and vote for houses, which was super, super cool. But that was growing a local email group, and I'm focusing on sharing local events and things like that to really like stay top of mind for my community, right? Because I really want to be more focused in my hyper local area. I mean, I travel, I have no problem with that, but ideally I want to serve the people that I live with
right.
truly. So that's what we're working on this first 12, it'll be all year, but 12 the first 12 weeks. Yesterday I set up the email server. I actually sent out the very first email that was thanking them for voting and sharing who the winner was and that kind of thing. And after it was like 20 minutes after I sent it yesterday, I already had an almost 30% open rate from
Awesome.
300 people. So, very excited for that. I don't want to start like a weekly thing, like a weekly email because I think that's too much. So for especially for this like hyper local email list that I have currently growing, it'll be a monthly thing. Here's what's coming this month. In there, I'll throw in tips to take care of your house this month or like house maintenance items. I'll put a featured listing in there, that kind of thing. But really just try to be super informative and helpful, come from contribution kind of thing, and see how that goes this year. And also this first 12 weeks, I have to come up with another opt-in, another piece of value that I can offer to them. I have a few ideas. I'm thinking of doing one of those quarterly to not make them
Right.
annoying,
Right.
but have 4 good pieces of, like I said, local value. And then as I get into it more, I'll spread it into more real estate focused list, as far as buying, selling, that kind of thing. But it started. The first email went out on the first of the year. So go Brenna.
Way to go. What
Yes.
email server are you
And
using?
I have Flowdesk. I had used it previously for something completely different, and I did like it. So I have Flowdesk, and we'll see how that rolls. And then I also have YouTube on my list for this
I
year.
have it for the year,
And
but I don't know if I'm ready to jump in Q1 with it.
so I don't think that posting will start Q1. This is more like a back end because it's one of those things, much like the podcast, like it has to be a consistent thing. So I don't want to make a video and post it this week and not have anything ready for next
Right.
week. So I think that well, I know that this because I have my action steps up here. My first 12 weeks is going to be really setting myself up for a successful YouTube launch in quarter two. So that's why I was asking about uh, the Pocket 3 and things like that, because I'm just trying to make it so it'll be really plug and play and easy for me to implement. And that channel is actually going to be very local focused as well. 5 reasons not to move to Hickory. You know what I mean? Like the stuff like that to get people, because it's a search engine, and I feel like it can be utilized way more than I do because I don't use it.
Right.
So
Well, so you brought up a good point, and I think my first week, honestly, like, is going to be, like I said earlier, watching back trainings and discussions and stuff that I've been in. Because I totally forgot a big one on here. I want to optimize my Google. I was talking to Lorraine about it, Lorraine Danielson. Um, I just know she has a beautiful smile and she's always cheerful, and I love her. Um, and
and she's amazing. She does
she's
great with like SEO
phenomenal.
and things like that. Yeah.
But she and I had a big conversation about Google and optimizing your Google results and your website. And so that's going to be a focus this year too, because that's something, not that you set it and forget it, but you set it and it works for you while you do these other
Right.
things that support it. So
Hmm.
that's definitely going to be, I need to tighten these down this week and go back through and
My last one is not, it is real estate focused for like my long term 5 and 10 year where I'm going to
mm-hmm.
be, but I'm building a tiny house. I'm building a tiny house. Very
Wait, wait,
excited.
wait.
Um,
Where?
well, in my backyard.
Oh,
It'll be on one of the um axles, like you'll be able to haul it. You know what I
okay.
mean? So I'm building a tiny house. Ideally, I would love to have a little, I don't want to say campground, but something that has 3 to 5 tiny
Like
houses on it, all
glamping?
with different themes, and I'm going to Airbnb them. I love that. I want it badly. So I'm starting with, I already purchased my plans. I'm building a tiny
That's
house
awesome.
this
I
year.
like that.
So I'm very
Because
excited.
where's the beach house fall in this, though? Is that a 5 year? Okay.
Yeah. So the beach house will be, yeah, but it's gonna be. I want a beach house. I want 800 beach houses
Don't
if
we
we're being
all?
honest. But and Travis is very right. I need to have something that's not 4.5 hours away that I can actually be involved in and manage myself. So and tiny houses just, oh my god,
Right.
themed tiny houses. Are you kidding me? But yeah, so the beach house is still happening. But I'm not going to build a beach house. I'm going to buy
Right.
a beach house.
Right.
So tiny houses on my
I
2024.
love it.
Very
I
excited.
love it.
Hmm.
Love, love, love it. All right. I think that's everything.
So we'll just keep each other
Yes,
accountable.
we
You
will.
know what I mean?
You may not hear us talk about it every week on the podcast, but when we are off air behind the scenes, we are talking about this every Tuesday amongst ourselves. So when we're done with this, it is my job to type them up and put them in our OneNote, and we will check in with each other every week, and we'll check in with you guys here and there to let you know how we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, at least to the end of the quarters and like how we did and what we're doing next. I think that that's important. I don't know that everybody wants to know what we're doing
Right.
every 10
Right.
days, but we'll see how it goes. But I'm excited. I'm ready for 2024. I think it's going to look very different than 2023. Thank God.
Yes. Yes.
It's going to be
I
great.
hope
We're going to do great big
we are.
things.
We're going to do great big things. Oh, do you have one more thing? Do you have a word or a phrase? That's something a lot of people do. I have one um that we're literally getting.
I know what
I
yours is.
know.
I've seen it
Mine's
posted
I actually
50
I have
million
my
times and I
post
do
for that
love it.
ready. I just haven't posted it yet. Um we're actually getting it tattooed too.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
So,
I love
not that I
that.
expect any of our listeners to go get a tattoo because that's very, very permanent. But one of the things the team I am on, um, we have come together and agreed with, and even Ronald is going to get one with us. We are going to go get tattoos. They won't be matching tattoos. No, I clarify. I was like, wait, hold up. That breaks up marriages and friendships. We're not doing that, right? But we're all
Right.
getting something that represents what our word of the year means. So some of us are getting last year's and this year's. Some of us are just doing one or the other. I might do both. It depends. But our word of the year, which is my word of the year, um, is whatever. I love it because one of my favorite phrases from a movie, from my favorite movies, whatever, I'm getting cheese fries. Because in it, and you can, the way I interpret it is she wanted to know which was low carb or high fat or whatever for her diet. And she was just like, whatever, I'm getting cheese fries. You can interpret that so many ways, like, whatever, I don't care, I'm getting cheese fries. But to me, she was like, well, I'm still going to follow this. And I think cheese fries are fatty. So I'm doing whatever it takes to make this happen. So our word,
Mhm.
our phrase is whatever it takes. And our theme song is whatever it takes by, is it Imagine Dragons? We can't play it on here because it's copyrighted probably. So Google it, look it
Mhm.
up. But that's our big word. And we're going to go, um, that tattoo might be pushed to Q2 because of what's going on recently, but we are all going as a group one night and getting tattoos.
I love that. I do love that. Mine is more mindset for, I mean, obviously it's mindset for me, but last year my word was momentum and like keeping, because I worked so hard to get that business ball rolling on my own as a solo agent. And I was like, I just can't stop moving,
Right.
right? Like we have to move. And so it was momentum. And I thought really hard about somebody, I think it was Courtney McCarthy. She's a local lender here and she's amazing. If you need a lender, call Courtney McCarthy. Anyways, she made a post about people and about how like they just get so stuck and they're like they just don't move, right? And I thought about that and it wasn't what I wanted it to be. So this year, and maybe I don't know if you've probably heard of Mel Robbins. We
Mm-hmm.
everybody
The
loves
five
Mel
second
Robbins,
rule.
but a 5 second rule. But this year we're gonna let them. We're gonna let them. I a big personal flaw. I care way too much about everybody else and what they think and how they see and how they react and all of that stuff. And it affects me so deeply and so personally. It has to stop. So this year we are going to let them. If they think that, you know, I don't know, I can't even think of a good example that the sky is green. Yes, it
Sure.
is.
Let them.
Yes, it is certainly green. You know what I mean? Because I can't waste the that energy on trying to change somebody's mind if they believe the way that they believe. It shouldn't affect me personally. It really shouldn't. We're going to let them this year.
I like it.
And yeah, and by letting them, I am freeing myself. You know what I mean? It's just going to be a beautiful, beautiful free year.
I like it. I don't.
I'm
I
excited.
don't think I chose a word or a phrase last year, but I feel like that was mine because it was just like I'm
Mm.
focused, I'm dialed in, and let the people on the lake think, oh, she doesn't like us anymore. No, that's not true. Let people think, oh, she doesn't have fun. No, that's not true. Like we're in this. We're doing this. This is building our future. So I like that. I like let them. Let them do it.
And whatever it takes.
Right? Let them do whatever it takes. See if they can do that.
Exactly. Exactly. I want to let them go get a tattoo.
At least you're not
Oh
getting
my
the firm
gosh.
logo like someone I know who regrets it because he's no
Oh
longer with
yeah, I
that
don't.
firm.
No,
Yeah, no.
that's a bad
Very
idea.
bad idea. Never
No.
get someone's name tattooed on you. Never get a logo of a sports team or a firm or like that's just ugh. Or
It's
a
just weird.
person's
It's just weird.
face,
It's just weird.
especially a
Don't do
celebrity
that.
with all the stuff coming out. Don't do that. Just don't.
It's just
Yeah,
weird. It's
it's
weird.
weird.
All right. It's
It is time.
yeah,
All right.
it's
All right,
2024.
y'all. It is
That's
time for you
awesome.
guys to conquer your 2024, whichever structure you're using. We are using 12-week year. Um, if you want to talk to us about it, hit us on the socials, send us an email. We'd love to hear what your goals are and open a conversation about it. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and we will talk to you next
Yes,
week.
we will see
See
you
you.
next week.